Welcome to another episode of the HeatStrokes podcast.
Oh, I should have yelled too.
Hosted by Brady Kannon, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Get ready to experience golf as you've never seen and heard it before.
The price is wrong.
Through the lens of Brady's experienced eye as he braves the toughest courses in the West under the scorching Las Vegas heat. Your course reviews, expert PGA analysis, and top weekly golf betting strategies are teed up and ready to fire. Here's your starter, Brady Kannon.
It is deadheatgolf.com, home to the HeatStrokes podcast, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome in, everybody, to episode number 8. I'm Brady Kannon, and we are lucky enough to be recording today from the Westgate Superbook. And of course, with that, I am joined by the Executive Director of Race and Sports here at the Superbook, Mr. John Murray. Great to have you on board today, John. We are going to be, of course, previewing the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Country Club and also reviewing one of your favorite golf courses in Las Vegas, Bears Best, a beauty indeed. And you're no stranger to playing golf in triple-digit temperatures, are you?
No, I've played golf in triple-digit temperatures many times. I've scored in triple digits,
Yes.
probably even more times than I've played in triple-digit temperatures. I know all about it.
All right, well, let's dive into Bears Best and let the audience know what a great track this is. It is a Jack Nicklaus design, and of course, Nicklaus, his nickname, the Golden Bear. So Jack, being the bear, he has designed this course and taken 18 different holes from other courses he's designed in and around the Southwest, Cabo San Lucas, Arizona, California, Colorado, Montana, and formed, of course, what is now called Bears Best. And I think that's, John, really what I like about this golf course. It feels like you get 18 very unique holes that are all independent from one another.
Oh, that's definitely true. And I was telling you before we recorded, I had the privilege of playing Puerto Los Cabos, which is a Jack Nicklaus course in Cabo San Lucas in February. I was there for a wedding. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Although we drank too much mezcal. So I was way over triple digits that day. Bears,
in a lot of ways.
Bears Best, definitely one of my favorite golf courses in the Las Vegas Valley. You know, LVCC is my home course, play there all the time, but I think I probably played Bears the second most of any course in town. I love that par 4 with the black sand. The par 3. Excuse me, with the black sand.
That's the Montana hole.
Yes, yeah.
It's like an Anaconda Golf Club or something like that, and they imported this black sand from Montana. Very, very cool.
I like too just seeing all the homes on the course.
Oh,
you know, there's almost
I think one of our guys, Devontae Adams, is up there now.
Yeah, is that right?
I know he plays Bears Best a lot.
Well, I know one thing I've noticed about the homes there is half of them are empty. So it's like the super, super wealthy people.
I love
They're showing us, I believe that's 18, another hole that I like. So it's a lot of fun. That course is a lot of fun. Saw OJ there one time.
Okay,
Brady.
yeah.
Me and my buddy were getting we're changing out of our sandals into our golf shoes in the parking lot, and you could just hear this voice around the corner. And my friend's like, "Hey, man, that's Juice." I go, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That's OJ Simpson." All right, sure enough, we turned the corner to walk to the clubhouse. Juice was there. He was leaving. I think he plays there a lot.
Yeah, I believe he lives up. That's right next door to Red Rock Country Club is Bears Best, and I think he lives in the Red Rock Country Club area. Bears Best, located about 25 minutes west of the Las Vegas Strip. It's set in the foothills of the mountains, and I really like the way the course kind of creeps up into the desert hillside. And then when you look back, you've also got very panoramic vistas of the entire Las Vegas Strip. It's a par 72, and from the tips, you can stretch this thing all the way to about 7,200 yards. And in fact, they did hold a leg of the Las Vegas Invitational, the PGA Tour event here years ago, Bears Best opened, by the way, in 2001. Now, John, we've mentioned that all these holes are recreations of Jack Nicklaus's favorite holes from other courses he designed in the Southwest. I think it's hard to say that there's really one type of style to this golf course because you have the mix. Some holes are traditional, some holes are more desert style. I think there's a couple of long par fours here that have that traditional Nicklaus second shot. The 18th hole, you referenced the graphic there. That's a beast with water and sand going all the way up the right side. I'd say there's a good amount of room off the tee here, but you really have to position your tee ball properly in the right spot in order to be able to attack these greens and try and make a par or a birdie. I would say at the end of the day, it's typical Nicklaus. It's really a second shot golf course, and you have to be spot on with your irons.
It's a lot of different kinds of golf shots. You got to be pretty versatile out there. It's a little bit challenging for a golfer like me, Brady, to be honest with you. Which is the hole that you hit over the sand and then you got to go back up towards the green? I think it's a par 4, like maybe the 6th or 7th hole. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not positive, but my next question would be, and this doesn't sound like that's your favorite.
No,
I was
sir.
going to ask you what your favorite hole is. You touched on a couple of them.
Yeah,
What's number 1 on your list?
It's got to be the par 3 with the black sand, the downhill par 3. I don't really like the 18th. I've had
very
some.
hard.
That's a long par 5. I've been in
par 4.
Par 4. Excuse me.
Super long par 4.
I've been in the sand down there.
Yeah.
Right by the water. That is a very difficult hole. Tough closing hole.
Well, the par 3 you mentioned, I think it comes from like an Anaconda golf course or something like that in Montana. I can't recall the exact name of the course, but it is so stunning. You're used to, the desert and the browns and the greens of the grass. And then all of a sudden there's this black and it looks so cool. And it also looks back down towards the strip.
Yeah.
So you've got a great view and a long par 3. I mean, just from like the regular blue tees, not the tips, but like one up from that, that's still a good 200-yard shot, but it is downhill a little bit. So that'll take a little of the distance off it. Big green too.
I believe it's 8, which is a really long par 5 that goes downhill back towards
the Colorado hole.
I like that hole a lot. So another hole that I do like is that one. I think it's the 8th hole. Very scenic tee shot as well.
A lot of pine trees. That one is from, what's the Colorado Pines course? They used to play a tour event there. They used to have the International there, and I can't think of the exact name of the course, but another Nicklaus design, that the lone hole at Bears Best that he grabbed from Colorado. And I agree with you, real good par 5 there. My favorite hole is number 10, and it has a huge fairway bunker right in the middle. It's a split fairway. Yeah. And the traditional route is to kind of go left of the bunker, but you can also try and squeeze a tee shot in down the right-hand side. There is more risk reward going down the right-hand side. If I'm playing really well, I'll try and take one off up the right-hand side. There's a little narrow window in there, and if you catch it right, you can end up with just a sand wedge into the green. If you put a good tee shot out to the left, you'll end up with a short iron. It's a well-guarded green, a kind of a smaller green that runs horizontally, a bunker in the back, a bunker on the right-hand side. But it's really all about the tee shot, I believe, on this hole, and a decision that you have to make off the tee. If you end up in the middle in the fairway bunker, you're in trouble. And if you let it get away from you a little bit on the right-hand side, if you're trying to, gamble a little bit there, if you will, you can end up in trouble there as well. Certainly to the left is the more conservative, safer play. But if you hit a good tee shot here, right or left, you set yourself up for a good chance at par or birdie.
You can score on a few of those back 9 holes. I think 11 is a par 4 that you can score on. 10, not a hole I like because I'm not as good of a golfer as Brady. I'm usually in that center sand.
Right.
I've been there more times than
it's
I
like
can
when
count.
you want to hit it, when you don't want to hit it straight, you do, right?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Now that the course, we're talking about the course, I like 1.
One is
good.
Is
a beautiful hole as well. It's not super difficult hole. A good starting hole, the first hole at Bears Best.
I really like the way 10 kicks off the back 9. You can really kind of unleash the driver. I mean, the biggest hitters out there could go right down the middle and clear that fairway bunker possibly, but that is a really launched tee ball if you're going to go that route. But I like the way you finish. And I think the front 9, there's a few holes there, 3 or 4 holes, maybe, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish that are very tough.
Oh yeah,
And I think
Oh, yeah.
you're right. There are some holes that you can score better
on
on
the back nine. For me,
on the back nine. And I think 10 is kind of a nice start to that. Certainly challenging, but it's all about that T-ball. You hit a good T-ball on 10 and you're off and running. How about a favorite story? Do you have a favorite story about a round you played here or a particular moment that you recall about one of your visits to Bears Best?
I think my favorite story, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I can recall it wasn't one time. It was several times during COVID. We had all of our meetings on Zoom because the casino was closed. And I can recall more than once playing Bears Best, my phone on mute. And one time it was my turn to talk. And right before I started talking, it was on 8. That's probably why I like 8. I just piped my drive right down the center, which is not a common thing for me. And then I hit unmute as I was walking back to the cart, and it was my turn to talk in whatever that Zoom meeting was. I have a lot of fun memories of playing Bears Best during COVID. The one good thing about the COVID times was all the golf we got to play.
Absolutely. That's really when I got back into the game. And that's, the birth of this HeatStrokes podcast was Matt Youmans and I playing so much golf in the dead heat of summer. And that really began, we had done it before, back to the old Westgate SuperContest Weekend golf tournaments at the LVCC. But we played roughly 20 rounds together during COVID.
Well, Youmans, he takes it too far with those prim rounds in like July and August.
and he loves to go to Death Valley.
No, it's ridiculous.
The hotter, the better for him.
We played, speaking of COVID golf, we went to St. George a few times because it was about, 10 degrees cooler?
Yeah.
And we had some good experiences up there. But I think Bears Best is a great course if you don't live in Las Vegas because you can see so much of the city. Very scenic golf. And it's just a lot of challenging, fun holes. So it's one that I always recommend if I have friends that are coming into town that I know really enjoy playing golf and are decent at golf. Because it can be a tough course.
I totally agree with you that it's very scenic. And I talked about that, the way it really creeps up into the Red Rock Mountains there on the west side of town. And then you turn around and you've got all those panoramic views of the Strip as well. I'll tell you my favorite story here. I was playing Bears Best. Now, we mentioned that it opened in 2001. I was playing this probably in about 2003 or 2004. And a guy I knew had set up a game for 4 of us. And one of the guys in the group, it was the time that I ever met Rob Osland.
Oh, no way.
And of course, Rob Osland very well. He ran this hotel, the Westgate, for a few years, and you and Jay Cornegay and Rob became good friends, and you guys would bandy about the country and set up the Superbook in different jurisdictions.
Pre-COVID, we were traveling to conventions all over the United States, selling the Superbook brand to potential casino partners. Absolutely. We traveled quite a bit with Rob Osland.
So it was that day 20 years ago that I first met Rob, and we became friends ever since. We've done a lot of business together with all the hotels that he's been a part of and my golf tee time business. We've played in like father-son, Father's Day tournaments before. We've gone to a lot of concerts together. We're actually going on vacation together here in about 3 weeks. His family and mine, our kids played soccer together. We've had parties at one another's homes and everything. So, and his company that he works for now, Play Studios, is one of our premier sponsors of the HeatStrokes podcast. So we've kind of come full circle here. 20 some years ago, I meet Rob for the first time at Bears Best. He's a sponsor of this show, and here we are in this episode featuring Bears Best. So it's kind of cool how the game of golf lends itself to some situations like that for a lifetime, really.
Lends itself to that, which is a great situation, and also the only chance I got to meet O.J. Simpson.
Which is another wonderful thing.
Well, that's debatable. But
yes.
That was how we met O.J. During COVID, of course.
All right, we are going to get to our picks for the Charles Schwab Challenge here in just a moment. But before we do, a word from our sponsors. And before I get to that, I want to tell you a little bit of information about Bears Best, how you can get a hold of them. Like John and I have talked about, it is definitely a high-end property. It's great for visitors to town, something that we highly recommend checking out. In the summertime, you can play there for about $79 to $149. In peak season, they can get all the way up to about $299. They do also have like a frequent players program, kind of a public membership, if you will. And also, they're also a part of the Club Corp network. So if you're a member of a Club Corp course somewhere else around the country, you may be entitled to some benefits at Bears Best. You can find them online at invitedclubs.com/clubs/Bears Best Las Vegas. You can also find them on our website at deadheatgolf.com as one of our featured courses. Or you can reach them by phone. Give them a call at 702-804-8500 and tell them the fellas from the HeatStrokes podcast sent you. Before we get to a break, take a listen to our sponsors, our terrific sponsors. I mentioned Play Studios, Vicent Realty, Las Vegas Advisor, and also footballcontest.com. Make sure at checkout you use the code HEAT to save $50 at footballcontest.com. Of course, football contest season is right around the corner here in Las Vegas. And John, I won a contest. You've got a contest here, the SuperContest. That's right, that little contest. You can tell us about the big boy. Not that far from now, you'll be signing people up.
You and Rob Osland won that contest?
That's right, Rob Osland. Here we are again. Synchronicity.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Coming soon. To be determined. We haven't officially announced the date yet. One of the meetings we had today was about the SuperContest, but some exciting things coming for the SuperContest in 2023.
And you want to get on board and save a couple of bucks if you need a proxy service with footballcontest.com. We'll be right back with more of the HeatStrokes podcast presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas in just a moment.
When the HeatStrokes crew isn't burning up the hottest golf courses in the country, playing a game we'd all spend a lifetime trying to master, they're doing something just as smoking, but a whole lot easier. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable, real-world rewards from some amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score rooms, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady and Matt, we know you're going to love it. And that's something you can bet on. Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, tournament play, and of course, sports betting, including 2020 sports betting. Think like a pro, which contains an 85-page section on betting golf. And don't forget to check out LVA's famous Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $400 in gambling, free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com. That's LasVegasAdvisor.com. Attention, all real estate buyers, sellers, and investors. Are you looking for a trustworthy and experienced team to help you navigate the Las Vegas, Southern Nevada market? Look no further than Vicent Realty Group, specializing in residential, commercial, and investment properties. With over 9 years of experience in the industry, we have the knowledge and skills to help you find the perfect property or investment opportunity. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we're committed to providing exceptional service and delivering results. Contact us today to take the first step towards achieving your real estate goals in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. Call now, 702-339-8052, or go to BecentRealty.com. Have you ever wanted to play in one of the biggest football contests in Las Vegas and win $1 million or more? At footballcontest.com, find out how to sign up and make your picks through Nevada's most experienced proxy service. You do the handicapping, we do the legwork, and our service is a convenience for both locals and non-residents alike. Over the past decade, thousands have trusted footballcontest.com as their proxy service and have collected winnings of over $10 million. Whether you're a fan of 5 picks against the spread or survivor pools, footballcontest.com has all the information you need to get started. You pick the winners, we submit your picks. It's that easy at footballcontest.com.
Welcome back to the HeatStrokes podcast presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. We are down the street today recording at the Westgate Superbook, but we need to let you know Mandalay Bay comes alive as the fan district, the go-to destination for all of fankind. Gather here, stay here, eat here, and celebrate here. Fans get exclusive food and drink specials and one-of-a-kind experiences loaded with giveaways, photo ops, surprise appearances, and more. And the best part, it's all within walking distance of the stadium. Get the party started or keep the party going at the Fan District. On to our picks for the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Country Club. The PGA Tour makes its way back to Texas, Fort Worth, Texas this week. And John, it kind of reminds me of when we went from Augusta National and the Masters to the RBC Heritage in the follow-up week. We come off of this big beast of a golf course at Oak Hill for the PGA Championship, and now we go to a smaller, more accuracy-based course in Colonial, kind of the same transition there as we did from Augusta to the RBC. This is a Perry Maxwell design. He also designed Southern Hills, the site of last year's PGA Championship. Colonial is just slightly longer than 7,200 yards. It is a par 70. The fairways are tree-lined. You have 12 holes on this course that will dogleg in one direction or the other. And other than Augusta National, it is the longest running course to host a PGA Tour event dating back to 1946. And Colonial Country Club actually hosted the U.S. Open in 1941. Ben Hogan, your good buddy, he won here 5 times and nearly won that U.S. Open in 1941 as well. It's another course that has been tabbed Hogan's Alley, and it really mirrors, what you need here, what Hogan did so well. Ball striking, precision, accuracy, touch around the greens, a hot putter. John, I'm wondering how you handicapped the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial this week.
Well, I talked to my guys, my golf guys. We got a lot of golf people here at the Westgate. It's probably the sport that we talk about the most outside of football. And the one thing that they kept coming back to was knowing this course knowledge, prior history at this course, they think could really favor some of the players in this event. I mean, Jordan Spieth is an obvious guy to look to here at this event, being in Texas. I have some concerns about his wrist.
Yeah.
So he was not a guy that I played to win, but that was something we talked about. And then we were looking at some of the other favorites. Scotty Scheffler is a prohibitive favorite here. He's 9-2 at the Superbook. But first of all, I don't think I'd bet anybody at 9-2 to win a golf tournament unless it was Tiger Woods in circa 2005.
Sure.
But Scheffler to me was a stay away because he came close last week in the PGA. Potential letdown for him, also for Victor Hovland, who was in the final group on Sunday.
I think you bring up a good point, and you talked about experience and course knowledge here. Mm-hmm. There was a player recently, I want to say it was in 2010, that was a debutant that won here for the first time. And before that, you have to go all the way back to, I believe, 2001, when Sergio Garcia won here, who was a first-timer. So that's 2 players that have made their way into the winner's circle on their first ever time looking at the golf course in the last 23 years or so. So you're right. It's like Augusta National in the sense that very few first timers ever win here. You do need some experience around this golf course. As far as what I looked at this week, as far as the skill sets, we always look at strokes gained approach, greens in regulation. I looked at hole proximity from 125 to 200 yards. That's where the bulk of your approach shots are going to come from on this golf course. Obviously, par 70, you've got primarily par 4s here. So I looked at par 4s ranging from 350 to 450 yards. I looked at scrambling. These greens are very small. You're going to miss them sometimes, and you're going to have to get up and down. And then they are bent grass greens. So I looked at strokes gained putting on bent grass. As far as correlated courses, I used the aforementioned Harbor Town, home of the RBC Heritage. That's another course that requires accuracy, and you get the dog legs going in both directions. Sea Island, where they play the RSM Classic. YLA Country Club, where they play the Sony Open in Hawaii. And then also Austin Country Club, where they play the WGC Match Play. John, we have a very special guest. Let's get to our guest picks for this week. And this is a mutual friend, Mr. Paul Stone. Sure. You know Paul very well. Of course, plays in our major championship golf drafts as well. Very sharp golf handicapper is Paul Stone. He really specializes in college football and PGA Tour golf. You can find out more information about Paul's podcast at paulstonesports.org. And you can follow him on Twitter at paulstonesports. For the outright winner, he went with Jordan Spieth. no concern apparently on the wrist.
Possible Texas homer, Brady.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, a native Texan. That's why we always bring Paul Stone in for Colonial.
Sure.
He's very familiar with this course. A native Texan is Paul. And another Texan, Jordan Spieth, graduate of the University of Texas in Austin. He's got Spieth at 15-1. Cam Davis, I know a player we all like this week. Paul's got him at 42-1. Minwoo Lee at 105-1. And then how about this? Pearson Coody at 500-1. You'd hate
Price
to be the
right.
book that booked that if he wins it.
500-1. If the price is right.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe. I got a lot of confidence in Paul. I respect Paul's opinion. So.
Top 10 finish, he went back to Spieth at plus 170. Pearson Coody again at 25-1 for a top 10 finish. And then a top 20 finish on Ryan Fox at plus 330. Pearson Coody again at plus 850. And then full tournament head-to-head matchups, he's got Cameron Davis at plus 105 over Siwoo Kim. He is all over Pearson Coody this week. Coody at plus 130 over Grayson Sigg. And then Jordan Spieth at minus 105 over Colin Morikawa. Anything get your attention specifically there on Paul's card?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because I saw he played Minwoo Lee to win, and I've got a matchup going against Minwoo Lee. So we can't both win.
That's true.
That's true. That is a little concerning. But I do like he's got a matchup going against Siwoo Kim. I do as well.
All right.
On my card. And from what I've seen, Siwoo Kim does not play well at this course.
Well, without further ado, let's get to the rest of your picks, my man. Who you on this week?
Two matchups, KH Lee minus 130 over Minwoo Lee, and Chris Kirk minus 126 over Siwoo Kim. The first one, the Chris Kirk one was at Boyd Gaming. KH Lee one could be found at Caesars.
And I know you landed on Cam Davis for an outright. Who
I
did you
did.
go with? And I know you didn't land on Jordan Spieth.
Did not land on Jordan Spieth, so it does make me a little nervous that Paul's on Jordan Spieth. Cam Davis, 42-1. I know Paul liked that. And then Tony Finau at 16-1. I feel like these kind of events are better for Finau. There's no pressure at the Charles Schwab. It's not the PGA where he was a trendy pick going into the PGA. He did not fare well. I bet him to win the PGA.
I did too.
He did not fare well, but I think he'll come back. Hopefully he comes back better this week. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler is the big chalk. I understand why, but I don't want to get involved at a price like that.
Well, and Finau just recently won as a fairly decent-sized chalk himself, the Mexico Open at Vedanta. And to your point, a watered-down field. This is a stronger field for sure that we have here at Colonial. And you always think of Tony Finau as a bomber, and this is a shorter, tight track, but he's actually done really well here in the past. So I certainly can't argue with that selection. All right, my picks from the outright market, I went with Russell Henley at 40-1. And he is number one in this field over the last 36 rounds for good drives gained. He's very accurate off the tee. 25th in greens and regulation gained, 10th in hole proximity from 125 to 150 yards. He's also, talk about the correlated courses. He's won at the Sony. He's got a couple of top 10s at Harbor Town, and he's got 3 top 10s at Sea Island. Chris Kirk at 42-1. He's won here before at Colonial. He's also won at Sea Island. He's got 2 runner-up finishes at the Sony. He's excellent on the par 4s. He is number one in this field in hole proximity from 125 to 150 yards the last 36 rounds. I'm also on Cam Davis, 42-1. Comes off of his best ever finish in a major. 4th place at the PGA Championship. He also finished 7th here last year, and he has 2 top 10 finishes at Harbor Town. You and I are a little oppo here. You're going against Siwoo Kim in a matchup. I took Siwoo on an outright at 47-1.
Okay.
And, I think you talk about Finau, this type of event is good for him with maybe, not the full-blown pressure of a major championship. Siwoo Kim, I think, flourishes in this type of event too when the field is not as brutal. He won earlier at the Sony Open this season. He's also finished runner-up in his career at Harbor Town. Over the last 36 rounds, he's 5th in this field for hole proximity from 150 to 175 and 11th from 175 to 200 yards. And then a couple of long bombs. Nick Taylor at 90-1. He's got a top 30 finish here at Colonial, a top 25 at Harbor Town. He's got a 7th and an 11th in Hawaii. 15th in this field in scrambling over the last 36 rounds, and on the par fours, measuring 400 to 450 yards. He is 5th in this field in strokes gained on the par fours. And then finally to the triple digits with Hayden Buckley, a really solid PGA championship. He flirted with being the first round leader there for a minute, but ended up finishing 26th. Over the last 36 rounds, he's 5th in this field for greens and regulation gained, 5th for good drives gained, 9th on the par fours, measuring 400 to 450 yards, a 2nd and a 12th place finish at the Sony, and just recently finished 5th at Harbor Town. And then I just landed on one full tournament matchup this week. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, a possible fade week for Viktor Hovland. And you're also on Sungjae M for an outright. I played Sungjae at even money over Viktor Hovland. Sungjae was awful last week. Missed the cut, was 10 over par. Viktor, obviously, they're right there in the thick of it. But that is such a mental and physical grind. A couple days off extra for Sungjae. I think he can get it done over Vic this week.
I like that. I might have to look at that one myself later, because I like Sungjae this week. And like we said, Viktor Hovland, he was right there on Sunday in the PGA.
Yeah,
in the final group with Brooks Koepka. And then, of course, it all fell apart. Koepka wins his fifth major. And it's just hard for me to picture Hovland bouncing back and being in that frame of mind to play in the Charles Schwab after what happened on Sunday in the PGA.
We will see. It ought to be interesting, but that is certainly the psychology that we're thinking, and it's also physical and mental. Both. When you go through a test like that, like Viktor Hovland did last week. All right, the Pizza Money Play of the Week. This is brought to you by Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar in the Summerlin area, right here in Las Vegas. Both John and I are big fans of Dom DeMarco's, and you, of course, have a Pizza Money Play of the Week?
I do. I was calling it my Grinch Play of the Week.
I saw that.
But it's Michael Block to miss the cut. It was minus 225 this morning when we bet it. We actually have minus 330 now at the Superbook, so it's a bit of a cop-out, but that was the price this morning when I placed the wager. I think it's a lot to ask. This guy just had the week of his life, the week of most people's lives.
It was awesome.
We
loved it, right?
Well, of course.
But now we're bettors, and we got to be realistic.
This guy's playing with Rory McIlroy on Sunday in a major, and he hits a hole in one. And the whole thing was incredible. He gets invited to this tournament. He's going to have all kinds of media obligations this week. I don't want to say I'm rooting against him. I don't even know if that's true. But I find it hard to believe he'll be able to get up mentally for this tournament. The whirlwind week he's just had. I laid the price. I don't think he makes the cut this weekend.
And we've already seen that price skyrocket. You mentioned all the way to minus 330 here at the Superbook, and you got that at Caesars. Who knows where that number is at now? By the way, the Pizza Money Play of the Week has now won in 5 out of the last 6 weeks, and I'm going to go with a similar one here. I'm going for the winning score to be under 266.5, and what that will mean is 14 under par or better will win this golf tournament. Now, they're supposed to be getting thunder showers there in the Fort Worth area today. There's better than a 60% chance that they are going to get them again on Wednesday. There's also a slight chance that they'll get them in the morning on Thursday. So by the time these guys are really into the thick of this golf tournament, that golf course could be very soft, and they could be throwing some darts at these greens. Now, one thing that, you have to temper this a little bit, the winning score has only gotten to 15 under par or better twice since 2011. So it's not all that common that they go real low here. But I think with the weather conditions, the rain possibly softening up this golf course, and you have very little wind in the forecast as well. Sunday is supposed to be the windiest day at around 12 miles an hour. So with no wind and softer conditions, these guys ought to be able to tear this one up. And I think your winning score will get to 14 or better. Pizza Money Play of the Week from Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar. John going Michael Block to miss the cut. I'm going under for your winning score, 266.5.
I like it. And this is a better field, I think, than you'd expect for the week after a major.
Good point.
So we should talk about there. There's some really good players in this field. There are guys that were right there on Sunday in the major championship. And Scottie Scheffler, he's probably the best golfer in the world.
He certainly looked like it. Koepka was the best player, but I agree with you. This guy seems to be in the top 5 every week.
He's always there. And he's a guy, anytime he's in the field, he's going to be the favorite, and he's going to give you a chance to get that pizza money home on Sunday.
If we win both of these bets, we'll go get a pizza at Dom DeMarco's.
Yeah, I'm done. Sounds good.
Very good. That is going to do it for this episode of the HeatStrokes podcast, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. In case you need to revisit, get all the information, the picks, what have you, it'll be up shortly at our website, deadheatgolf.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out later this evening, the video version will be up on YouTube. You can check out my YouTube channel at HeatStrokes Podcast. Give us all the loves and the subscribes and all of the things you do there on social media to support us. We appreciate it. Thank you to our crew, Tom Catlin on video, Jeremiah Crow from Green Roll Media on audio, and Trifco on the creative design. I want to thank our guest host, John Murray of the Westgate Superbook. Say hello to him here the next time you're in town. Also want to thank our fabulous guest contributor, Paul Stone. Follow him on Twitter at Paul Stone Sports. By the way, follow John on Twitter at Vegas Murray. We will be back at this same time next week to review another golf course and also preview the Memorial as we head to Dublin, Ohio for Jack's tournament. We reviewed Jack's course this week. Now we're going to Jack's tournament, the Memorial at Muirfield Village. And by the way, I highly recommend playing Bears Best. As John and I both told you, it's a really great course, very scenic and an enjoyable experience. Enjoy the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, everybody. Cash some tickets. And John, please remind everybody to
stay hot.
You've been dialed into the HeatStrokes podcast with Brady Kannon, presented by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, and produced in conjunction with Green Roll Media, the world's premier sports betting podcast network.
Subscribing to the show on YouTube is easy. Just search HeatStrokes Podcast. Follow us on social media at Las Vegas Golfer and at HeatStrokes Pod.
If you like what you heard, please follow, like, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify today. Good luck out there sinking birdies at Cash and Tickets. Cash and Tickets. We'll see you next week.